All right, I'm Mike Baranto, Senior Associate Athletic Director at Daemen College, and joined right now by our head women's soccer coach, Dan Dolan, on the, I don't know, what do you want to call it, the Daemen Wildcat Zoom hotline here that we're going with during the COVID-19 pandemic. And Coach, I wanted to visit with you a little bit, recap what was a really fine season for your team, and talk a little bit about what the current situation is with your student athletes. So we'll start with the question that's probably on a lot of people's minds is just how is your program, how are you as the head of the program dealing with the current situation that calls for all kinds of social distancing? You can't be in front of your team right now.
Yeah, that part's been super tough. Obviously it's tough on all of us as coaches. It's tough on me ever since I was probably 17. When I first got into coaching, you're with around the kids every single day, whether it's club, college, high school. So going from being around people 24/7 to the only really contact we have is through, Zoom or Skype or something through video chat. It's been difficult on me. Recruiting has been very tough. Our 2020 class is done, but for 2021, this is the thick of it. This is the heart of it. So the only good thing about it is everyone's in the same boat. So recruiting wise has been tough and we're behind. But interacting with our athletes, everything's just through video chat now. So we met with the team, obviously, and we have leadership meetings that we've been doing. We have one-on-ones coming up. So it's just getting in front of them in a different device, I guess. And we're just making the best of it, just like every other program.
Yeah, so at the time of this happened, you guys were kind of just ramping up the spring season. I guess how much work had you guys gotten in? And how do you think that this stoppage will affect performance-wise moving forward?
Yeah, we got a lot of practices in. That was a good thing. We got a lot of futsal in. We got some practices on turf as well. But we were just coming up to the thick of our schedule for games. We're allowed 5 play dates, and we were about to go play at Niagara, a week later, and everything kind of halted. So development-wise, obviously it stings a bit. It would have been nice. We have a really good team. It would have been nice to play the schedule that we had. We had a hard schedule, playing a few D1 teams, and now all of a sudden everyone's back at home, and our season obviously is canceled and no one can really do anything. So we can't meet with the girls. We can't have them do certain things. We can just suggest to them. And so it's really, we always talk about you control your own development. It's really up to them on, how great they want to be. So they've got to be doing things on their own. And how much can you do because, of everything that's going on. So you can't really be outside much. So unless you have an isolated area, you can do something in your house. That's going to affect development a little bit. But again, it's going to be that way across the board. But we always see a huge impact or huge growth development in the spring. And so I'm interested to see how that translates into the fall with us and with other teams.
Well, with that said, let's turn to maybe more positive times for you in the program. This past fall, as I mentioned, was a really solid season for you. 11-4-3 overall record. You end up making the first NCAA tournament appearance in program history. Take me through kind of the ups and downs and the emotions that you guys felt last fall.
Our goal from as soon as the season ended the year before was to make the NCAAs. We had just made the East Coast Conference. We had a really good team coming back. Everyone was bought in, just like the last few years. You never really know with each group, but it was kind of a special group. And I think everyone knew that we had something special going into last year. So the emotions were really high. We had an early game against Mercy, the Bridgeport Mercy. It was LIU at the time also. We're always in the top 3 no matter what. It was everyone else trying to fight for that 4th spot as 4 teams only went. With LIU out, we all knew, and sort of the conference, that there was 2 spots that were kind of open. So, we started off pretty hot, and in conference play, we got that home win against Mercy, and we didn't rest on our laurels. It was just a really tough conference. I mean, we had 5 teams that were legit, top teams in the region, and we just missed out on playoffs. And the funny thing is, Malloy, who was fourth, won the conference tournament and actually made the Sweet 16. So it just tells you how difficult it was. But we had such high hopes, and we had such a great season. To not make the conference tournament, I mean, it was just devastating to everybody. But like you said, like just the ups and downs of it. And we always talk about ups and downs during the season and in life. We got a little luck on our side and somehow manifested an at-large bid. And I've yet to watch the game against St. Rose because it hurt so much. And I find that with a lot of games that like high stake games of trying to go back and watch games, because we always go back and watch. And I've yet to watch that NCAA game. But I think the first time we played them, we were outshot 25-5. And when we played them in the NCAAs, we were outshot 10-5. And all 4 goals came off set plays. So I thought, looking back on it, I thought we played fantastic and got a lot of bad luck in that first half. But it was an amazing experience, an experience I think we all want so badly to get back to. And we have a really good team coming back. But I always think of our 2011 team, and I always think of our 2019 team of just how fun it was coming to practice, and how we played and how we were bought in, and all the highs of it, and the lows. There's a lot of good experiences you get out of the lows as well. But just a really happy season overall as a coach.
You mentioned the hot start. You guys started the year 6-0-2 overall, matched the longest unbeaten streak in program history at 8 games. What was the key for you guys getting off to such a good start?
I think team chemistry. It always comes down to team chemistry, mostly with female athletes. It's always important to start off together as a team. That first week, I'm always huge on team bonding and us getting together, and the girls getting to know each other, and we just came right out of the gate hot. I don't know how else to put it other than we found ways to win. We found ways to score. Defensively, we were stout. A lot of the starters had played for a few years now. Just the system that we like to play, and the fluid motion and fluid, freedom that they have, just all came together. October was a little bit, harder, obviously, but it's conference. When you get into conference, anything can happen. And so non-conference, we had a tough schedule too, but, we found ways to get results, and which helped us get the NCAA bid.
Right. Individually speaking, Jamie Boyer has been the headline grabber for your program for really the last 4 years. She ends up as the program's all-time leading goal scorer. That's something that she achieved in the last regular season game of the season. But she had 3 other players that were all conference players as well: Sam D'Agostino, Lindsay Ciaramella, Grace Stranahan, and a number of other contributors up and down the line. I mean, who really stood out for you individually throughout the year?
Oh man, obviously those players do. I thought Maddie Emmy had an amazing season. Some of the girls that don't really get talked about, our starting lineup, and even some players coming off the bench. I thought we had a pretty deep team. Maddie Emmy, outside back, getting up the field. No one could get by her at outside back. Grace Stranahan, from where she came her first year, she started some games. This year she started every single game. She came in super fit and just motivated, and I thought dominated, was at times our best player out on the field, and I think it showed her making 3rd team. I believe she made 3rd team all conference. She could have been higher than that. Lindsay, who got 2nd team, has been phenomenal for 4 years, but never really got the recognition. Kat at outside back, obviously. I thought Julia Eichel, a freshman at center back. I thought Nicole Grecian coming off the bench as a freshman. Maddie Flores in goal. I think, I look at the team and there's just, when you compare teams to previous years, there's just no weaknesses on our team. And so when you have a team that doesn't have any weaknesses, glaring weaknesses, you have a really good chance of going far. And so I thought those players did a really good job. And, all the players that I mentioned, they're all coming back. So again, a really good team, I think, for next fall.
You mentioned a couple of those defensive players that, and you're right, they don't get talked about, maybe as much as a Jamie Boyer. There's just there's not as many stats and accolades to go around for those type of players. But how did you get them to gel? Because I think the one stat that is important for a defensive player and team is goals allowed, right? And you guys finished the regular season. It was the fewest amount of goals. I can't remember the number off my head. It was maybe 13. Is the number sticking in my head. Allowed 13 goals through the regular season, just the least amount that the program has ever allowed. How did you get that group to gel, especially a couple of those players that you mentioned, Julia Eichel and Maddie Emmy, were freshmen?
Yeah, I think we put a premium on defending, obviously. For a few years here, mostly when we moved into the NCAAs, we had to defend. We had to defend a lot, and we were a counterattacking team. And I mean, you can ask Jamie, we play a 4-5-1, and it was basically just hit it to Jamie and let her use her speed. As we've been able to bring in better talent, we've been able to possess more and attack more, but we still make sure that there's a premium on defending. If you can't defend, it's just like they talk about in football, right? If you're not good defensively, you can go out there and score 6 goals, and you might win 1 or 2 times, but more times than not, defense wins a lot of those big games. So again, they're just all bought in. We give them a lot of freedom in the back, but we've got to make sure we get back. And if we don't, we need other people to pick up spots. So the Sam Haynes, the Grace Stranahans, the Sarah Kennys, the Nicoles, they would all drop back. So if Maddie Emmy's making a run forward, one of them's got to drop kind of in their spot so we don't get countered back. So a lot of it's communication, a lot of it's nonverbal, but it's something right when we get into preseason, defending is one of the first things that we touch upon. So it's making sure everyone understands their role and responsibility. And after that, you don't really need to talk too much about defending. Fortunately, as soon as they've got it down, there's a knowing and understanding, and then you can start working on the harder part, which is attacking. Attacking is very difficult.
So, what's the program going to look like moving forward here? You mentioned you've got a lot of players back, but you're also losing some really, really key pieces in Jamie, Lindsay, Sarah Kenny that you mentioned. Maybe, what's the 2020 recruiting class? You also mentioned that was already done. How are those players going to kind of fit into what you got coming back?
Yeah, we have a pretty good group coming in, and we have a couple studs. One of them, Tatiana, who's a transfer from UB, should just be a really clinical goal scorer for us, the most technical player we've ever had in our program. I think the school fits really well for her. Being at a small school, I think the environment's going to be really good for her, and I think she's really going to shine. I think she's going to surprise a lot of people in the conference. We have a girl from Canada coming in, Lauren, who's reminds me of Lindsay. She's, Lindsay to a T. Her size, her technical ability, she's a little bit quicker than Linz. I think she's going to make a huge impact for us. We have another girl who's verbally committed but hasn't technically signed because of the whole thing that's going on. But as soon as that happens, she's a foreign player who's very good, who's going to come in and I think make an impact right away too. And we've got 4 or 5 other girls who just give us a lot of depth and give us a lot of strength moving forward in the next few years here. I don't know how they're going to do their freshman year. You never know really till that first couple of days, and there's always 1 or 2 that surprise you. But as for depth of our class, we are very deep compared to years previous. We might bring in a couple studs in that, and when I mean studs, I mean girls that start right away, and then it kind of drops off real quick. And this year, it doesn't drop off. So again, it's exciting for the program the next few years. Just looking forward, I think we've built ever since we got in the NCAAs. We've kind of built a little bit each year, and I think it's just going to continue to grow.
All right. Well, That's all the questions I got for you. So I want to thanks for taking a break from your busy schedule to visit with me today for a couple of minutes, and wish you the best with the social distancing and everything that's going on.
I'm doing a great job distancing myself. So
As I would hope you would be.
yeah.
So,
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
All right. See you.
Yeah.